The set was buzzing with voices, laughter, and lights that didn't blink. Everyone was preparing for the next scene.
Yes.
The cameras were adjusted, the makeup artists moved like dancers. The director barked orders softly into his headset, eyes fixed. On the monitor, Ana de Armas sat on the edge of the stage, her hands folded tight in her lap. Her costume was perfect. Her hair was flawless. Her smile, though, wasn't real. She stared at the floor, pretending to read her script. But her eyes didn't move across the page. Her lips pressed together to keep from trembling. Something had happened that morning. Something she hadn't told anyone. Not her manager. Not her assistant. And definitely not the press waiting outside. The gate with cameras like hungry mouths. Only one person noticed. Keanu Reeves stood quietly in the corner of the studio. He wasn't supposed to be in this scene. His call time was later, but he had arrived early, as always. And unlike everyone else, he wasn't busy looking important. He was watching, not in a creepy way, not in a curious way, in a human way. He saw how Ana's fingers trembled, how she looked away whenever someone called her name, how her smile came half a second too late. Most people would have looked and then looked away, said nothing, done nothing, but not Keanu. He remembered the time. He sat in a trailer years ago, alone, holding in pain. He remembered how no one noticed, and the one who finally did the grip, named Louis, didn't say much, just handed him a bottle of water and said, "You don't have to carry everything alone." That one moment stayed with him forever. So today, Keanu quietly stepped in. He walked over to the coffee table near Ana. It was covered in snacks and cups and napkins. He picked up 2 mugs, poured black coffee into both. No sugar, no milk. He walked slowly, not directly to her, but next to her. Sat on the stage edge, Small space between them. Didn't speak. He held out the mug. Ana looked at it, then at him. "I didn't ask for coffee," she whispered, trying to smile. "I know," Keanu replied, his voice soft. "I didn't wait." Ana held the mug with both hands, more for warmth. Then taste. No? The silence between them felt safe, like shade on a hot day. For the first time that morning, Ana breathed a little easier, and then something broke inside her. She turned her head away, blinking fast. Too fast. A tear escaped before she could stop it. She wiped it quickly, hoping he didn't see, but Keanu did. He didn't react, didn't ask, didn't make it about him. Instead, he said, "You ever have one of those days where your chest feels like it's holding 100 secrets, and none of them want to stay quiet?" Ana looked at him, her eyes now wet but not ashamed. "Yes," she whispered. Keanu nodded, took a sip of his own coffee. "Call those Tuesday." Ana laughed softly, a real laugh this time, short but honest. They sat like that for a few minutes. No lines, no action, just 2 people being human. Then the assistant director walked up, clipboard in hand, calling her to the next scene. Ana stood up, feeling steadier. She turned to Keanu and said, "Thank you." He smiled, that quiet smile. Only he could give. "You got this." She walked off to her mark, and Keanu stayed seated, still quiet, still watching. But now, his presence had left something behind. A kind of calm, a kind of strength that no one else noticed. But Ana would never forget. What no one knew yet was that this was only the beginning. Ana was carrying more than just lines today, and Keanu had seen it before the cameras ever rolled. And he wasn't done helping, not even close. The photo appeared online the next morning. It showed Ana and Keanu sitting on that quiet bench, a few feet apart, faces soft, sunlight wrapping around them like a secret. There was no drama, no bright colors, no perfect poses, just stillness, honesty, and something the world rarely saw, real comfort. Someone had captioned it, "He saw her, even when she said nothing." Within hours, it spread everywhere. Social media, fan pages, entertainment blogs. People called it a moment of quiet kindness. Others said, "This is why we love Keanu." A few even guessed what was happening, but no one really knew. And Ana wasn't ready to tell them. That day on set, she walked in and felt hundreds of eyes on her. Not cruel ones. Just curious, warm, but still too many. She felt exposed. For a second, her heart raced. Her throat tightened, but then Keanu stepped beside her again. He didn't say anything, didn't look at her. He just stood next to her, calm and steady, like a lighthouse during a storm. And somehow, the storm inside her settled. "Ready?" he asked gently, before they stepped into the next scene. She nodded, "Yeah, thanks." The director clapped his hands. "Let's do this." Scene 12. Take 1. The cameras rolled. Anna delivered her lines. She moved like the star she was, but between each take, her eyes found Keanu. Not in a needy way, not in a romantic way, in a safe way, and that safety was everything. Halfway through the afternoon, during a break, Anna received a call from her mother. She stepped outside to answer. A few minutes later, she returned. Her face pale. Keanu saw it instantly. He approached without words. Anna's lips trembled. He collapsed. She whispered, "They're taking him to the hospital now." Keanu didn't hesitate. "Go? What?" She blinked. "Go to him," he repeated, "now." Anna shook her head. "But the film will wait," he said firmly. "Your heart can't." A tear slipped down her cheek. "They'll be angry." "Then let them," he said. "I'll talk to the producers." She hesitated. "I'll cover for you," Keanu added. "Trust me." Anna looked at him, full of disbelief and gratitude. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "Completely." She left that afternoon, and Keanu kept his word. He walked straight into the producer's office and explained the situation. Calmly, clearly, without drama. Truth. At first there was hesitation. Schedules, contracts, delays. But Keanu didn't move. He simply said, "This is not just a movie. This is her father." And the room fell silent. They agreed to pause her scenes for 3 days. Outside, Keanu returned to the set and picked up a smaller scene that didn't involve Anna. He shot it in 1 take. No complaints, no spotlight, just quiet professionalism. That night, Anna texted him from the hospital. "He's stable now. Thank you. I mean it." "Thank you for everything," Keanu replied. "Always here. Just always will be." Meanwhile, online, the photo from the bench continued to grow. People made artwork, wrote poems, shared stories of times someone had stepped in silently to help them. Anna read them all on the plane home, and when she landed beside her father's hospital bed, she held his hand and whispered, "I'm here now. I didn't stay away this time." He squeezed her fingers weakly. "Good," he said. "You always give so much. I'm glad someone gave back to you." Anna smiled, thinking of Keanu, of all the moments he had shown up quiet, gentle, steady, and how it was changing her, not just as an actress, but as a human being. The set had changed. A new scene, new lights, new camera angles, but something was still the same. Anna's breath was a little too tight, her smiles too careful. Her laughter didn't quite reach her eyes. She delivered her lines perfectly, her timing flawless. But behind the lens, Keanu saw the truth. The truth was, Anna was unraveling slowly. No one else saw it. Maybe they didn't want to. On a big production like this, everything moved fast. Actors were expected to be machines. Emotions were fine as long as they happened on cue, but off camera, you were expected to keep quiet, keep moving. Anna did just that. She hit every mark, nodded politely, thanked the crew, but inside, something was shifting. Something heavy. That afternoon, a light broke. On set, a loud crash echoed through the soundstage. Crew members rushed to fix it, and everyone was told to take a short break. Anna slipped outside, just for air. Just for a moment alone. She didn't know Keanu had followed. Not right behind her. Not intruding. Just close enough to keep her safe. Donna stood near the edge of the studio lot, where the sun touched the pavement and the breeze carried the sound of distant traffic. She closed her eyes, let her shoulders drop, and exhaled. But then her phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face changed. Her hands shook slightly. She pressed the screen, stared at a message. Her thumb hovered over the reply button, then lowered the phone slowly. She sat on a bench near the trailers and buried her face in her hands. She didn't cry loudly. She didn't make a scene. Just one soft sound left her lips, like something breaking quietly. That's when Keanu sat down on the opposite end of the bench. Again, he didn't speak, just sat, present, steady. After a long pause, Anna spoke without lifting her head. "It's my dad," she whispered. "He's sick, and I'm here." Pretending everything's okay, Keanu listened. Anna lifted her head slowly, tears clinging to her lashes. "He told me not to come. Said work was important. Said he'd be fine." Keanu nodded gently. "That's what dads say." Anna looked at him. "How did you know to come out here?" Keanu shrugged a little. "I've had days like this. You learn to hear the silence." Anna smiled weakly. "You always show up just when I need it." Keanu looked at the sky. "I think the universe nudges us sometimes." Anna wiped her eyes and let out a breath that had been stuck all day. Keanu leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "When my sister got sick, I was on a movie. I didn't know how to be there and here at the same time. It tore me apart." Anna watched him closely. He continued, softly, "But someone told me. Sometimes just loving them fiercely from wherever you are is enough. And showing up when you can, that's everything." Anna's eyes filled again, but this time it wasn't just pain. It was something like release. "Do you think he knows how much I love him?" she asked. Keanu smiled. "I think he never questions." They sat there until the assistant called them back to set. Anna stood, steadier now. Lighter, she looked at Keanu and said, "You keep doing this?" He raised an eyebrow. "Doing what? Holding people up before they fall?" Gave her that quiet look again, the one that didn't need words. As they walked back to set, side by side, Anna felt something shift. The weight on her chest didn't vanish, but it no longer felt like it was crushing her. What neither of them knew was that a photographer, hidden behind a trailer, had snapped a photo of the moment they sat on that bench, and that photo was about to go viral. The world would see it. But only Keanu and Anna would know what it really meant. A silent act of kindness, a friendship. Growing in quiet places, and the first step in a story neither of them expected to live together. Anna stayed with her father for 2 days. She held his hand, brought him soup, and sat beside him while he drifted in and out of sleep. They talked about small things, movies, childhood, her mother's old cooking. But between those soft conversations, something deeper settled in her chest. A kind of clarity. For so long, Anna had believed she had to carry everything alone. That being strong meant staying quiet. But in the past few days, Keanu had shown her something else. Real strength wasn't about silence. It was about presence, about showing up, especially when no one asked you to. On the third morning, Anna's father woke up with a little more color in his cheeks. "You should go back soon," he said softly. "I will," Anna promised. "But only when you're okay. I'm already better knowing you're here." Anna blinked back tears and kissed his forehead. That evening, she boarded a flight back to set. The sky outside the plane window was painted with soft gold and pink. It looked peaceful, like a promise, when she arrived on set the next morning. The crew clapped quietly. Not a big celebration. Just a warm welcome. No pressure. No questions. Only respect. Keanu wasn't there yet, or so she thought. When she walked into her trailer, she found a note on the table. A small, folded piece of paper with her name written in careful handwriting. She opened it. "You don't have to act your way through pain. We'll hold the space for you." Beneath the note was a small gift box. Inside was a silver pendant shaped like a tiny anchor. Anna touched it gently. Keanu had said once that he liked anchors not because they hold you down, but because they keep you from drifting too far. When the storm comes, she wore it around her neck that day. The first scene she shot after returning was emotional. She had to cry on cue, had to break, had to fall apart in front of the camera. She was nervous, but when the cameras rolled, she closed her eyes, touched the anchor at her chest, and let it all go. And for the first time in a long time, the tears were real, Not forced, not performed. Real. After the director called cut, the set fell silent. Then applause. Not just for the performance, but for the courage it took to be that honest. Keanu watched from the back, arms folded, his expression unreadable. Later, during lunch, he sat beside her under a tree on the studio lawn. "You were incredible," he said. Anna shrugged gently. "I was scared. And you did it anyway," Keanu replied. "That's what makes you brave." Anna looked at him. "How do you always know what to say?" He chuckled softly. "I don't. I just say what I would have needed to hear when I was you," she smiled. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. "Why do you do it, Keanu? Why do you keep showing up for people who don't ask?" He paused. His answer came slowly. "Because once I needed someone to do the same for me, and no one did." Anna reached out and touched his hand. Not romantically, just with quiet gratitude in that moment. The cameras weren't rolling, no one was watching, but that simple touch hand to hand meant more than any performance. Anna stood up first. "You hungry?" she asked. "I could eat," Keanu said. They walked together to the catering tent, and as they stood in line talking about the most random things, bad coffee, favorite movies, the way studio trailers always smell like new carpet, Tana realized something strange. She was smiling again. Not the careful kind, not the public kind. That real one. What she didn't know yet was that the studio had just seen the dailies from her. Emotional scene and a conversation was happening behind closed doors. A big one, about awards, about nominations, but more importantly, about truth. The kind of truth you can't fake. And it had all started because someone stepped in quietly, kindly, and without waiting to be asked. The buzz began slowly. First, it was a whisper in the producer's hallway, then a call from the network executive. By the end of the week, Anna's name was being spoken in meetings filled with gold statues and velvet red carpets. She's never gone that deep before, that scene. It felt like she wasn't acting. It's award-worthy, no doubt. But while the industry spoke of awards and buzz, Anna was more focused on something else, quiet moments. She still wore the anchor pendant every day, still kept Keanu's note folded neatly in her script binder. On set, they shared simple lunches and quiet walks between scenes. Not every conversation was deep. Sometimes they talked about birds, or the odd way directors snapped their fingers when thinking. But even in those silly moments, Anna felt grounded. It wasn't a romantic thing. It wasn't a mentor thing either. It was human. One afternoon, after a long scene in the rain, Anna sat in her trailer wrapped in towels, shivering. The heater didn't work. The assistant said someone would come fix it soon, but before anyone did, Keanu stepped in. He was carrying a thermos of hot tea and a thick hoodie. "I figured you'd be freezing," he said, handing her the hoodie. She smiled, teeth chattering. "How do you always know?" "I don't," he said, sitting down. "I just pay attention." She took the hoodie, pulled it over her head. It was far too big and smelled faintly of coffee and cedar wood. In safety, Anna sipped the tea and leaned back. "You ever think," she said softly, "that maybe we were meant to meet on this set?" Keanu looked at her. "I think the universe puts people where they need to be when they need to be there." Anna nodded. "Before this film, I was trying to do everything alone, pretending nothing hurt, smiling when I felt broken. And now, she paused. "I'm learning it's okay to lean on someone." Keanu's eyes softened. "Good." That night, Anna went home and wrote a letter to her father. She didn't send it, just wrote it. "I'm learning that strength doesn't always look like a straight face. Sometimes it's allowing someone to sit beside you in silence. Sometimes it's tea in a thermos, a hoodie, or a note that says you're not alone." When filming resumed the next day, the director called her into his office. He looked excited but serious. "Anna," he said, "we've been watching the footage. Your work this month, especially that hospital scene, it's some of the most honest acting I've seen in years." She blinked. "Thank you. Studio wants to submit you for award season." Anna froze. "Me? Duh. she whispered, double quotes. Yes, you. Her heart beat faster. Her thoughts raced. But her first instinct wasn't to celebrate. Her first instinct was to find Keanu. She walked out, looked around the lot, and spotted him by the prop truck. It's fixing a loose strap on a crate. She walked straight up to him. They want to submit me? For awards, she said. He looked up, smiled. Of course they do. Keanu, her voice cracked slightly. I want you to know I couldn't have done it without you. He shook his head. You could have. You just didn't have to. She didn't cry. Not this time. Instead, she stood tall, looked him in the eyes, and said, Thank you for seeing me before I saw myself. He gave her a quiet nod. Just promise. Me one thing, he said. What's that? That when someone else is sitting alone one day, unsure if they can keep going, you'll be the first to sit beside them. Anna smiled. I promise. That night, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Anna walked home wearing the same hoodie. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew this much. She wasn't pretending anymore, and she wasn't walking alone. The day of the premiere arrived under a clear sky. The red carpet stretched like a river of lights, flashing endlessly as fans cheered and cameras clicked. Celebrities stepped out of black cars one after another, dressed in gowns and tuxedos that cost more than most people's rent. Anna stood at the end of the carpet, hands at her sides. Heart pounding in her chest, she wore a simple black dress, elegant, quiet, like her around her. People posed for photos and smiled for interviews, but Anna wasn't thinking about any of that. She was thinking about her father, now healthy and watching from home, his hand resting on her mother's as they waited for her to appear on screen. And she was thinking about Keanu. He wasn't walking the carpet tonight. He had told her weeks ago, This night is yours. You don't need me in the pictures. You already carry the strength now. Still, a small part of her wished he were there. Just knowing he was near had always made things easier. She smiled for the cameras, waved gently, answered questions with kindness. But as soon as she entered the theater, away from the noise and lights, she let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She found her seat, and right beside it, a small folded note. She picked it up, heart suddenly racing. I'm here, just not where the cameras can find me. Enjoy this. You earned it. Kay, her eyes filled with tears. She looked around the darkened theater, and far in the back, in the last row, she saw him, Keanu, dressed in simple black, KO almost invisible among the shadows. He gave her a small nod. She nodded back. The lights dimmed. The film began, and for 2 hours, the audience held its breath. They laughed. They cried. But when Anna's emotional hospital scene played on screen, the theater fell silent. Not a breath. Not a whisper. Just raw stillness. When the credits rolled, the room erupted. Applause, standing ovations, tears. Anna stood slowly, overwhelmed. People turned to congratulate her. Her eyes searched the back row. He was gone. Outside, the crowd buzzed. Reporters pushed forward, but Anna moved through them like a breeze, searching finally. Near the alley where the trailers had once been, she found him. Alone, calm, leaning against a wall with his hands in his coat pockets. Thought you disappeared, she said. He looked up, smiling. I promised I'd be here. You saw it? She asked. Every second, he said. And you didn't act, he said quietly. You lived. And a step closer, her voice steady, meant what I said before. You helped me find something I'd lost. Keanu nodded. And you passed it on. That's what matters. She held up the anchor pendant hanging around her neck. This saved me more times than you know. Keanu looked at it, then at her. You know, he said. Softly, you're the anchor now. She blinked. What do you mean? You keep others from drifting. I've seen it. On set, with the crew, with your family. You've become what you needed. Anna didn't speak for a moment. Then she whispered, I hope I can be that for someone. Like you were for me. Keanu reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, flat object wrapped in paper. What's this? Anna asked. A gift, he said, for whatever comes next. She opened it slowly. Inside was a photo. The one. From the bench, she held it, breath catching in her throat. "I never asked for this," she said softly. "I know," he replied. "You didn't have to." They stood in silence. No flashbulbs, no applause, just a people. Human whole. Anna hugged him, not for the cameras, not for a story, just because she meant it. He hugged her back, then stepped away. Double quotes. "Go," said this. "World needs more of you now. And you," she asked. He smiled. "I'll be nearby quietly." Anna walked back, toward the crowd, the lights, the interviews, the future. But this time, she walked with no fear, no pretending, no weight she couldn't carry. Because someone had taught her, without ever saying it, that even the quietest kindness can change everything. Months later, Anna won her first major award. She stood on stage, trophy in hand, eyes shimmering. The crowd waited for her speech. She looked down at her anchor necklace, then up at the audience, and with a voice full of warmth, she said, "This is for the people who show up quietly, the ones who step in before you even ask, the ones who see you when you think you're invisible. I wouldn't be standing here if not for someone like that. I hope one day I can be that someone for someone else." The room erupted, and somewhere in a quiet corner of the world, Keanu Reeves smiled softly, because he already knew she already was.